In today's report, Priti Patel orders Met Commissioner Cressida Dick to explain why police failed to contain and manage revelers at a large gathering in Brixton on Wednesday, which led to 22 police being injured before they retreated after being overwhelmed. Boris Johnson condemned the violence and is now working to double the sentence for assaulting an emergency worker. Met Police are under fire as two constables shared inappropriate images in a WhatsApp group, including photos of the bodies of two sisters stabbed to death in Wembley. Hertfordshire police accused of putting politics over public safety after a sex attacker description failed to mention it was a man in a dress. And police after quantity rather than quality, as only 10 of the 43 police forces implement the degree holder entry programme, which was supposed to have started in January after police chiefs are said to be targeting school leaders to bolster numbers while missing out on academically brighter and more ambitious applicants. Hello ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies and in-betweeners. My name's Dan and welcome back to another PAP Reports. It is Friday, June the 26th, 2020. Metropolitan Police made fools of themselves yet again following the utter chaos that ensued during the attempted break-up of a street party in Brixton on Wednesday night. In scenes that were more reminiscent of a riot than a street party, 22 police constables were injured as they attempted to close down the approximate 400-strong revelers, which saw two police and two of the partygoers taken to hospital. Police say they were called by concerned residents to an illegal street party, but say they were met by a hostile crowd. Of course, we'll never really get to see or know for sure how the police approached the crowd. I would guess it was them that were full of hostility themselves, as it seems to be part and parcel of the Met's training on how to make friends and influence people. Images that appeared on social media does show the crowd chasing the police off with makeshift weapons such as wooden table legs and throwing bottles. Two people were also seen on top of a police vehicle smashing in the windscreen. Boris Johnson condemned the violence and said that government would shortly be launching a consultation on doubling the maximum sentence for assaulting an emergency worker. Maybe in that same bill, the sentence for police misconduct in public office or assault should have its sentence doubled too. Just a thought. Priti Patel, however, has ordered Met Commissioner Cressida Dick to give a full explanation after the force was overpowered by revellers and were left a laughing stock. And I wonder why Priti Patel hasn't ordered Manchester Police Chief Constable Ian Hopkins to explain why action wasn't taken last weekend when two people at another gathering were shot and died because the police failed to act on that. Tory MP Andrew Bridgen has said Cressida Dick has lost control of the streets to a lawless minority. She has lost the confidence of the law-abiding majority of residents in Brixton and the country, and by effectively abandoning them to mob rule, which appears to be something of a pattern across the country in recent weeks. Andrew Bridgen also said that Home Secretary Priti Patel should remind Ms Dick and other police chiefs of their responsibilities. He added the duty of a chief constable is to uphold the law, and any who are not willing to do that should go immediately. Brixton community members have claimed that Wednesday's block party descended into a mini riot because police constables rudely asked revellers to turn off their music. They said they felt the police treated them like animals before the violence broke out, and they felt antagonised and threatened by the presence of police. Participants said the gathering started off calmly and was authorised by permits. But they added that the atmosphere changed after police took issue with music being played from a small speaker. London Mayor Sadiq Khan has also come under fire and been accused of losing control of the streets, while a former Scotland Yard Chief Superintendent said that Wednesday's humiliation was endemic of a police force that has given up enforcing the law on the capital's young black people. Well, let's face it, Sadiq Khan's not really bothered anyway, providing he gets his paycheck, and as for being endemic of a police force that's given up enforcing the law on capital's young black people, why bring race into it? The police have not given up on enforcing the law on young black people. It's more that they've turned into robotic yes sirs and enforced their feelings on everyone. If they did stick to enforcing the laws that prevent harm, loss or damage, then we wouldn't be in this position. Giving police discretion to act on how they feel at the time rather than act on the law as it's written was always going to end badly. But why should those who are above the law have to worry about that after all? 30-year-old Chloe Jones from Kirby in Merseyside. We spoke about her in PAP Reports on the 12th of May after she was accused of helping escaped prisoner Philip King and plotting a burglary with him after the two met at HMP Alt Course. Jones allowed King to stay at her parents' after he had escaped before he re-offended and was sent back to prison. Jones and King started a relationship around 6 months after she started working at HMP Alt Course. King was inside on a 3-year and 4-month sentence for theft and burglary. On September the 1st, 2017, King escaped from HMP Sudbury. It said, however, that there was no indication that Jones assisted him in escaping. Whilst King was at large, Jones continued to go to work without mentioning that she knew of his whereabouts. On November the 1st, a burglary took place in St Helens. King was charged with the offence but denies it. It was also alleged that King drove to St Helens in Jones's car, which she gave him permission to use. The following day, King and Jones were involved in a police chase whilst they were driving the vehicle that was stolen from the burglary. When the vehicle was stopped, King vanished, but Jones was caught, initially given a fake name for King, saying they had met on Tinder, before later admitting she had known King for a number of months and was in a relationship with him. She said he was with her on the night of the burglary and denied she knew he was an escaped prisoner. Nicola Daly, defending Jones, said she was genuinely remorseful and that following her arrest, Jones resigned from her job as a prison officer and reflected on her wrongdoing. Of course. Jones was sentenced to 15 months in prison by Judge Neil Flewitt QC. Judge Flewitt also acknowledged the time delay of 2 years, accepted 1 year was the result of a complex investigation, but said he found it difficult to fathom why it didn't make it any further. He noted that politics between police forces were a reason given, with one unit in charge of the investigation having been disbanded for 8 months. On the 17th of June, we spoke about the double murder of sisters Bieber Henry and Nicole Smallman, who were stabbed to death after attending a gathering for Bieber's 46th birthday as they headed home across Friant Gardens in Wembley on June the 6th. After contacting the police about the missing sisters, Nicole Smallman's boyfriend decided to go out looking himself for the two women. As he walked through Friant Gardens, he stumbled across the bodies of his girlfriend and her sister before calling the police. The IOPC are now investigating concerns that the Metropolitan Police failed to respond to the report of missing persons in an appropriate manner and how they handled the calls from family and friends of the two sisters. However, if you thought that was bad enough, it appears that 2 of the police constables who attended the scene are now alleged to have sent photos from the crime scene in a WhatsApp group to colleagues. The 2 constables have actually been arrested and suspended for misconduct in public office. Isn't it a shame they don't act so quickly in other instances of misconduct? The IOPC official statement said that the investigation relates to allegations that inappropriate photographs were taken at a homicide crime scene and subsequently shared with a small number of others, and that the Met are handling matters involving those members of the public who may have received the images, meaning that it wasn't just police colleagues who were sent the photos. It is understood that some of the images are of the bodies of Bieber and Nicole, a disgusting and inconceivable act by police, if it's true. Police are once again moaning about the easing of lockdown restrictions and how tough it's going to be for them in light of the July 4th reopening of pubs and other establishments, expressing their concern to the Home Office that plans to ease the coronavirus restrictions might lead to a rise in public disorder. They say they have already seen illegal raves and street parties involving hundreds of people having been broken up in Manchester, Oldham, Leeds, Staffordshire and a number of locations in London, with Wednesday's incident in Brixton compounding their fears. Police in Dorset had to declare a major incident on Thursday over police going to the beach. John Apter from the Police Federation says that the reopening of pubs and bars in England on 4th of July will put his members at risk. Personally, I'd suggest the public are less at risk from one another than they are from the police themselves. Maybe if the police concentrated on the law and spent the rest of their time engaging with the communities they're supposed to serve, rather than treating everyone with contempt, then their requests might not be falling on deaf ears. He said easing of lockdown on a Saturday has created almost a countdown to Carnival, and I'm deeply concerned that we're going to see big problems on that day. It's only through fortune my colleagues are not being more seriously injured or in fact killed. That's how bad it's getting, and something has to be done, he said. Yes, because, police have so much more to fear from the public than the public do from the police, don't they? Again, stop thinking about yourselves and start thinking about the communities that you're supposed to be serving. The Police Federation has estimated that around 250 police have been injured in recent weeks, and with the government to be considering doubling the maximum sentence for those convicted of such crimes, I think we can see where this is going. More people locked up for disproportionate amounts of time for resisting against excessive force from the police. As I said earlier, if the police are allowed to have the sentence doubled for members of the public who allegedly assault them, then we should have the same. This is just like the hate crime element of legislation, giving certain groups more power over others to punish them, especially where there is little to no evidence required. Hertfordshire police were accused last week of putting political correctness over public safety after failing to mention that a sex attacker who was wanted was in fact a man wearing a woman's dress. Of course, we must protect the feelings of people who have the right to dress how they please, even though they don't think of the feelings of the people they're attacking. It was only after the man's arrest that police revealed the information, and campaigners have accused police of a deliberate failure to properly investigate a dangerous sex offender for fear of causing offence. A senior officer confirmed that they were aware that the alleged attacker was a man wearing women's clothing, but told reporters they should report the information sensitively in terms of the LGBTQ+ community. Detective Inspector Justine Jenkins of the Regional Major Crime Unit explained, "We need people to feel comfortable in reporting these matters to police, so it is absolutely vital that any coverage of the case in the media is handled supportively and sensitively, both in terms of the male victim and the LGBT+ community. We do not want to be in a situation where members of the gay or trans communities in particular are being targeted by hurtful comments or actions as a result of the information being released." Not quite sure how saying we are looking for a man dressed in women's clothing after he attacked someone is going to upset anyone. I mean, it's the truth. And isn't that what the media is supposed to be sharing? Jenkins went on to say, "We would ask that you please take this into consideration when preparing any coverage and ensure you are regularly monitoring or removing any offensive comments posted on social media. In other words, if you're a mainstream media outlet, please remember that people aren't allowed the freedom to express themselves anymore." The victim, a man in his 30s, is understood to have been initially unsure about issuing an appeal in the media as he struggled to come to terms with the assault. The alleged attacker is currently on bail, awaiting a court date. Hertfordshire Constabulary have already been accused of pandering by treating transgender paedophile Carrie Cooper as a woman, despite committing the crimes as a man called Gary. Some of you may have heard that police were now requiring new recruits to have a degree in order to join a police force. Something that I know has been mentioned in the comments before, but did you know that only 10 of the 43 police forces have actually introduced the degree holder entry programme? Yes, they were all too keen on telling people they were introducing it, but were not so keen in its actual uptake or letting the public know that they will still be recruiting dumbasses. And why is this, you may ask? Well, of course, it's so the forces can meet Boris Johnson's pledge to recruit 20,000 more police. So it seems they are after quantity rather than quality. Not that we should be surprised by that. All 43 police forces in England and Wales were supposed to ensure that applicants were either graduates or non-graduates who agreed to study for 3 years to obtain a degree in professional policing by January. But it seems they are now targeting school leavers in a bid to bolster the numbers. It's been said that chief constables have crunched the numbers and realised that they've got to target school leavers who don't want to continue their education, even if that means missing out on a small number of academically brighter, more ambitious applicants. In an attempt to save face, the College of Policing said that forces are now taking a phased approach to implementing the new training, rather than simply being honest and telling the public how it really is. Police in Cornwall were taking the whole coronavirus thing a little bit too seriously recently, after armed police made entry to a holiday home of Sean Pritchard on the 11th of June to ensure he was abiding by the lockdown rules. I wonder what the penalty for pinching a Snickers bar is in Cornwall. Sean Pritchard accused Devon and Cornwall police of being heavy-handed for sending the police to his property in the village of St Newlyn East earlier this month. Mr Pritchard also claimed that the two constables who arrived to his home gained access to the property without consent via another person's private access. Mr Pritchard said the local community that I live in are not really fans of holiday lets. He added that he has received 2 visits from police and had been checked on by the council twice. In his complaint to the Independent Office for Police Conduct, Mr Pritchard wrote, "On this occasion we feel that this is now a matter of harassment. We are extremely concerned that on the most recent occasion police felt it expedient to send 2 armed officers for an alleged breach of a holiday let being open." He also took to social media to share his frustration with the situation, writing on Twitter, "At Netpole had armed police raid my holiday let in Cornwall on an anonymous tip off that it was open. They threatened to return even though they found no evidence of it being open. Armed fucking police." Devon and Cornwall police said, while complaints are under review, we are unable to comment further. A senior Cambridge University professor, Priyamvada Gopal, who studies far-left fields such as gender and feminism, Marxism, critical race studies and the politics and cultures of empire and globalisation, has sent a tweet to over 60,000 Twitter followers saying, "White lives don't matter," and "abolish whiteness." Originally from India, Gopal is said to have contributed to outlets including The Guardian, Huffington Post, BBC and Al-Jazeera, which seems to explain a lot. She was also apparently the Dean of the Churchill College from 2006 to 2010. I wonder if she had to take a hot shower and scrub herself with wire wool after finding out she'd been inside Churchill. Oh, wait a minute. If she studied all this stuff, then surely she would have known about Churchill's background in the first place, but still went to work in a college that was named after him. Interesting. Now, I have to say, I am deeply concerned. After reading through her tweets, I can categorically say that I have never said anything that could be construed as racist or homophobic on Twitter. But yet, I was banned last year on an old account simply because some hard left crackpots didn't want to debate and instead resorted in abusing me, but then ganged up and complained about my posts I had made, even though none of them were abusive. But due to the sheer number of people complaining, Twitter took action against my account. But this woman, who I can only describe as vermin, is spewing all kinds of discriminatory and derogatory remarks, and she's got over 60,000 followers who join her. She even said yesterday that I would also like to make clear I stand by my tweets, now deleted by Twitter, not me. They were very clearly speaking to a structure and ideology, not about people. So it's okay then when people are talking about LGBT, Muslim, BAME. As long as we're talking about an ideology, then those people from those groups don't have the right to call us names. Call us racists, go to the police. Is that how it works? If there's any subscribers or LGBT, BAME or Muslim, or any other protected groups, please let me know what you think in the comments. Do you agree with this woman? And do you think that if someone from outside of your community said something like she has said in her tweets towards you or your community, would you be happy to let it go simply because she's talking about an ideology, or would you feel attacked by it? Figures have revealed that 6 foreign criminals every day are being released from prison back into our streets instead of being deported. Only recently we spoke about one victim of a Rochdale grooming gang who came face to face with her abuser in an Asda store after he should have been deported after having his British citizenship revoked. The amount of foreign offenders being released and not being deported is up 70% in 4 years, to a total of 2,152 offenders, including killers, sex attackers, robbers and drug dealers. And they're being freed into communities. It suggested that almost 8,500 foreign criminals were living in the UK at the end of March instead of being deported. Priti Patel has vowed to speed up the process, and in fact any foreign criminal sentenced to more than 12 months in jail is automatically liable for deportation. But lack of action leads to many people absconding and going into hiding, which is putting communities at risk. Kahari Sadullah from Libya was released from prison only 16 days before he attacked people in Reading and left 3 dead. Nearly a third of people have been on the loose for more than 5 years. A further 3,055 have dodged being booted out between 12 months and 5 years. David Spencer, Research Director at the Centre for Crime Prevention think tank, said, "This is a shambles. It is scandalous that there are thousands of foreign criminals living freely in our communities when they should long since have been deported to their own countries. These figures show all too clearly how hamstrung the Home Office is on the current human rights legislation and how badly reform is needed in order to keep British people safe." Judges at the Supreme Court dealt a blow when they said criminals could avoid deportation if they would get poorer healthcare in their homeland than on the NHS. Spokesman for the Home Office said foreign national offenders should be in no doubt of our determination to deport them, but as the Home Secretary made clear in Parliament earlier this week, tougher action is needed. The process is complicated and there are barriers to overcome, but we are actively looking at all options, including legislative changes. Very big thank you to channel's Patreon supporters. Your support is, of course, truly appreciated. As for those who support in other ways, you are all awesome too. And that's all I have for you today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials, and please have a fantastic weekend.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.